Hello, the Ranger Ronin here, and today I want to leave you with my impression of the Versacarry Element with magazine pouch holster. So, let me get through the front end stuff, and I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back, so let's carry on. Most, if not all of us, who carry a personal defense assistant concealed have come across trying to find the right IWB holster for the firearm that we carry. As a longtime gun owner and carrier of, I have encountered this problem before many times. Buy a new gun and start the task of searching for the right holster. First impressions are important when searching for the right holster. If a holster seems too bulky or is a pain to put on, it usually stays in the manufacturer's stock, or, if purchased, it is usually relegated to the holster drawer. Having a holster that is light, effective, and simple to put on is far more desirable, and I am more likely to use it. I was introduced to the Versacarry line when I purchased one for a 1911 pistol. The holster served me well for the 1911, but this holster was purchased for the Glock G48, and which also works with my G43 and G42, among some other pistols that I have. First, I must mention that I am in no way affiliated with Versacarry. I purchase products for my own use, and this is simply my viewpoint of the product as it has worked for me. Before I get into the holster itself, I have read articles that claim having a magazine pouch on the same side as the firearm is not correct. It should be on the opposite side of the firearm. Well, I have this to say about that. If you are trained to carry a magazine pouch or a speed loader pouch on the same side as you carry a firearm, then continue doing so. For one, I am faster reloading if my magazines are on my right side, the same side that I carry and shoot. Rather than reaching my left arm around my body to reach a magazine on or behind my left hip, that is much slower than dropping my hand down to a magazine that is located just forward of my right hip and in line with the pistol that I need to reload. When I worked as a Leo, my double ammunition pouch was carried on my right side at the appendix position. I was trained that way, and, under stress, I will resort to my training. When wearing a shoulder rig, the magazines are on the right side, the correct side for me. In summary, carry your spares where you need to carry them for your particular case, and forget about the expert writers, as most of the time they are spouting their preference and not what necessarily works for you. Now, back to the regularly scheduled program. When shipped, the Versacarry Element is sent in a plain brown envelope that envelops a clear plastic resealable bag that protects the holster. The first thing that you will notice is how flat the package is. The Versacarry is not a hybrid holster, and therefore is not as thick as a Kydex shell that is attached to a backing plate made out of leather or other material. This lack of thickness is one of the reasons that I like the Versacarry and other carriers of its ilk, such as belly bands and smart carry come to mind. So, let's take a look at the Versacarry Element's features and specifications. The Versacarry Element has a raised protective backing, which includes a sweat guard. It also has spare magazine storage for one magazine. It exhibits adjustable cant. It has easy on-off clips, and it is made for discreet comfort. The holster material is vegetable tanned water buffalo leather, which is bound with industrial-grade bonded nylon thread. It's designed for use with a standard 1.5-inch wide belt, designed for carry. The product is proudly made in the USA, has a limited lifetime warranty, and has a 30-day return policy. The Versacarry element comes in distressed leather and black, but I prefer the former. There is a richness to the distressed leather version that I like, although it is highly unlikely that anyone will see this holster when worn IWB. Heavy stitching is used throughout the holster, which is two 0.122-inch thick layer of buffalo hide and approximately 0.227 inches thick at the stitching points. The body of the holster is not conformed to the pistol shape, and that allows the holster to be used for whatever pistol you will fit in it. Note that you can select the size of the holster you need at Versacarry's website. I prefer full muzzle and front sight protection, and the Versacarry element affords me both. There are 3 basic sizes, 1, 2, and 3. Simply select your pistol from a very large list of pistols, and you will be informed about what size to order. 2 substantial adjustable metal mounting clips secure the holster to a belt up to 1.5 inches. The clips allow the user to adjust the holster for cant and depth. Some cant is already built into the design, and the front clip is attached to the center of 3 adjustment holes, which allow for limited cant adjustment. The rear clip mounting serves as a pivot point for the front clip adjustment. Mounting hardware is more than adequate for securing the clips to the holster, although I would recommend a dab of blue thread sealer to be used to ensure that they stay mounted. Although the holster body needs very little break-in, the magazine pouch, however, may. Being that the Versacarry element is a full leather holster, some give of the leather will occur when holstering the firearm. While the magazine pouch is also leather, a Glock G48 magazine takes quite a bit of effort to insert it into the pouch, and just as much to remove it from the pouch. With a non-Glock magazine, fit may not be an issue. I had to do a press fit on the G48 magazine to get the bottom plate of the magazine to align with the sweat guard. Some conditioning treatment was applied to my holster's mag pouch to aid in the insertion and removal of the magazine. The magazine pouch can, of course, accommodate items other than a magazine, such as a knife, protein bar, or a short Slim Jim snack. The back of the holster is not padded in any way, which means that if you do not wear an undergarment between the holster and your skin, you may experience chafing. Also, the mounting nuts are a tad bit higher than the leather back. I highly advise wearing a good undergarment when wearing any IWB holster. The Versacarry element has a sweat guard for both pistol and magazine. Neither are obtrusive. The firearm sweat guard prevents the firearm from rubbing against the body while also protecting the rear sight. Normally, I don't care for sweat guards, as I find most of them too large. The sweat guard on the Versacarry element, however, is minimal and works just fine. When the firearm is fully inserted into the holster, there is no issue with wrapping the hand around the grip of the firearm. There is adequate clearance between the front of the grip and the holster, even with a Hogue grip sleeve mounted on the firearm, as with my Glock G48. When the firearm is drawn from the holster will collapse under belt pressure, as there is no provision for it not to collapse. The sweat guard serves as a guide for inserting the firearm back into the holster. The sweat guard, as mentioned, also protects the rear sight and keeps the pistol from digging into the body. More importantly, and especially in high temperatures, the sweat guard helps to keep moisture from reaching the firearm. Vents are cut into the holster and magazine holder. to help mitigate moisture by providing some airflow. Others may argue that the vent simply let unwanted debris into the holster. Time and use will tell the story. The vent adds a little style to the holster that nobody but you will know about while it's being worn. And speaking of wearing, initially the holster is stiff, but begins to conform to the body once mounted and worn for a while. It is very pleasing to wear. Made of leather, buffalo hide to be exact, the holster has some flexibility that a Kydex holster cannot offer. The flexibility can be both a blessing and a bane. Let me explain. With a hybrid holster, the outer shell, the Kydex part, is form-fitted to the firearm, and the backing is the flexible part. With an all-leather holster, however, the entire holster is flexible. With some holsters, an additional layer of leather, which may also include a metal band, helps to prevent the holster mouth from collapsing after the firearm is removed from the holster. This is very helpful when you must insert the firearm back into the holster. Simply insert the firearm into the holster, and the backing flexes enough for the firearm to be inserted easily, and it only may take one hand to do so. With a holster such as the Versacarry Element with mag pouch, or other Versacarry models, a provision may not exist to prevent the holster mouth from collapsing when the pistol is withdrawn from the holster, and this may require two hands to be used for holstering. And now for the bad. The bane of the Versacarry holster is the fact that you may not be able to insert the pistol fully into the holster when attempting to holster the firearm. Allow me to explain. The trigger guard of the Glock is squared off. The rear of the holster's mouth is tapered and collapsed. What this means is that you will not be able to holster the firearm, as the squared off trigger guard hits the rear of the tapered rear mouth of the holster. No amount of twisting of the firearm will overcome this obstacle. I tried holstering a Glock G42 and met the same obstacle. With the possibility of getting a finger in the trigger guard, on the trigger, and causing a negligent discharge, I cannot, under any means, recommend this holster. With this said, a firearm with a rounded trigger guard, such as my 1911, can be holstered without an issue. The problem lies with firearms with squared-off trigger guards and the incompatibility of the holster with those trigger guards. The Versacarry Element with mag pouch IWB holster is a holster constructed from excellent materials. The holster simply does the job it is intended to do: hold the firearm. Once the firearm is removed, however, from the holster, it's game over. Regardless of the excellent material used to make the holster, not being able to holster the firearm removes all benefits of the holster. As I once heard said in the military, one Auschwitz removes all attaboys. So to summarize, the Versacarry Element with mag pouch IWB holster is friendly to the firearm, but not so friendly to the user for reholstering the firearm. In fact, it could be dangerous, depending on the firearm carried, especially those firearms with a squared-off trigger guard. Well, there you have it, my viewpoint of the Versacarry Element with magazine pouch, its pros and cons. I leave it up to you to decide if this holster is right for you. As I create more gun and gear reviews, I hope that you will join me in my journey. In the meantime, stay safe out there.